Hey everybody, welcome to Suspenders and Button podcast. I definitely messed the intro up. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Julie, and we are excited to have Brigitte Kingsley. She is an executive producer and actress, and Andrew Cymek, who is a director and produces. You guys do everything. You have your own production company. I don't even know what to say. But most important, Andrew's wearing the sweater.
Yeah, that's what's most important, right? Not the years of hard work, trying to make movies. It's that I'm wearing the magic sweater.
Guys, it's a great sweater.
Thank you guys
Such a
so
good
much
sweater.
for having us.
Sheila's on here. Made him wear the sweater.
10 minutes before it starts, I'm like, Andrew, you gotta put the sweater on. You just got the sweater. It's like, oh, it's great. Such a
It looks fantastic. The sweater's currently banned, correct?
It is, yeah. He will not let me put the sweater in another movie. It was specifically clarified before we started shooting the last movie. He's like, that sweater stays at home. It does not leave our house.
But I've clarified this
numerous times
in the past, and somehow it has always made its way onto the set. Brigitte always says that everyone looks great in the sweater, so
That's so good.
that's
Look
why.
how good you look.
It's a lucky sweater. It's a magical sweater.
It's a magic sweater.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I will be sad to see
Like a Happy Gilmore thing, you know, how that production company, how they always have the same
Yeah.
like actors and stuff in different roles. The sweater just needs to be in everything. Like,
It's an
find
Easter
a sweater.
someone finally figured out the Easter egg.
Yeah.
Right? Well, then it just became an Easter egg after. So it started. We were tweeting about the movie that Drew Seeley was in. That was called. That is.
Ross's wedding.
Yeah, and all of a sudden it comes on, and I'm like, wait a minute, is that the sweater from A Very Quirky Christmas that Kevin was wearing? And of course, there's like 500 gifs of Kevin in that sweater.
Kind of hard to hide that connection.
And then you're like, sweater's banned. And then the best was you wouldn't put the sweater on. You're like, unbanned.
Yeah.
But little did we know. So do you know how many movies it's been in, or is it just?
I don't know. It's been a lot.
So we know of the My Boss's Wedding, A Very Quirky Christmas, Home for Harvest. We know those three.
Yep.
There was a fourth one for sure.
Was it Mistletoe? Were they watching Mistletoe?
I don't think it was mistletoe.
I don't know. It was another gal's account, like put it up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's the sweater again.
Was it? It might have been Stephen Huszar in Mistletoe Magic. Not sure.
No, it was for sure Stephen Huszar. I totally remember that's who it was.
Really?
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
Magic, and we have not double checked, but there's a couple thrillers that might have been in. Yes. That's spectacular. It does look good on everyone. It looks great on you, Brigitte. It looks great on Andrew. It looks great on all your stars.
So the great thing is, though, we are going to give it away this Christmas. So we're going to do the magic sweater giveaway. So,
Okay.
yeah.
How are you going to do that? Do you know yet?
I think what we're going to do is
She keeps looking at me like I have any answer regarding the sweater. Like I have nothing.
Okay. What we were thinking is for the premiere of our next movie, we have a Christmas movie coming out called The Art of Christmas.
Yes.
And we thought that it would be really fun during the premiere if people are tweeting with us. If they tweet Magic Sweater Giveaway and The Art of Christmas, they automatically get entered into the draw.
So you get a ballot. So we will mark it down. So you have to hashtag The Art of Christmas and also hashtag
Magic Sweater Giveaway.
Yes, I'm writing this down. Can you tell? We will help promote the giveaway of the magic sweater for sure. And that sounds amazing.
And it has to be during the
Art of Christmas.
The 2 hours of the premiere.
Right. And that is on December 9th
At 8:00.
Great American Family.
Yeah. And keep
So,
your
yeah,
eye on the
That is
date.
a new date. So
Yeah.
the new date is Friday, December 9th, 8 Eastern, 7 Central on Great American Family.
Yeah.
You
So
got it.
going along with the magic sweater, we also have the magic air date.
Yes.
That is
Changing.
that is bouncing around. So just keep keep an ear open and an eye open on our Instagram and social media sites, just in case there's any further changes. But currently, right now, that's the date. So
It feels a little more solid this time, although it was clearly on their calendar for the 17th, but clearly on the new calendar for the 9th. So
yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's perfect.
Yes.
Yeah. So The Art of Christmas. Can you tell us a little bit about that movie?
Sure. I mean, the Art of Christmas. It's a movie that I wrote, so I was really excited to actually produce it, and I got lucky enough to be a part of it on the cast. So they asked me if I would star in it. So it was super exciting. It's the first time I get to write, produce, and act in a movie.
Busy.
Superwoman.
So it was a lot of fun. And the movie is basically about a girl who, she was a teacher for many years, but she always had this passion for art. So she decided to go back to art school and try to become a professional artist. And then when she has this big gallery show, it kind of all goes up in flames and she goes back to her teaching. But while she's there, she meets this wonderful gentleman, Jake Hartley, who sort of helps her to see that, maybe there is a good balance between art and teaching and that she loves both. And maybe, she kind of finds herself there. And that's in a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
Maybe you fall in love.
You might fall in love. I don't know. You'll have to watch it to see. Who knows?
And your co-star in this movie is
Joe Town.
Yeah.
Very lovely actor. I think you guys are going to fall in love with him. He's very sweet, and there's a real kindness to his performance.
Love that.
So when you're acting and you're producing and you wrote the script, does it feel different than when you're just doing the producing end of it, or you're just, doing one component? So when you're doing everything, tell us a little bit about that and how you make that work.
It's a lot of fun to be able to do all of it. I just started writing a couple years ago. So the most interesting aspect of it is when you have sort of the words that you put down on paper and you have it in your head how they're supposed to be performed. And then you get to give it to actors, and the interpretation sometimes is, they bring their own spark to it. So I've always found that to be a really interesting part of the journey, to see what actors bring to your words. And I think, overall, it was just a lot of fun to be able to do all three. It's definitely a lot on your plate. So there was moments where, the camera's rolling, there's this big, beautiful moment. And, all of a sudden someone comes to me with a crisis and they're like, hey, this is what's happening on the production side. We need to solve this. And I'm like, okay, give me 5 minutes. And then it's like, and rolling. And then you get into character and you kind of do your scene, and then it cuts, and then you go, fix the crisis on the other side. So there was a lot of that on this movie, but it was fun.
Yeah, she's being very humble. Like when she's not acting, pretty much any issues, she's the first person I go to solve these issues.
Mm-hmm.
And when you add the acting onto it, it's just like her absence on that side of things is sometimes felt.
Right.
I remember there was I'm going to tell him the dress story. Okay. There's this one part, like you've seen the red dress in pictures. It's a gorgeous red dress.
Yeah.
And there was a wardrobe issue with it where at one point it fell apart.
So what happened is we were shooting at the school. So the school we had rented for 4 days, and we didn't have any time to shoot beyond that. We had to get all of our shots.
It was a hard out. Like we had to.
Yeah.
We also had kids on the clock, which kids have a hard out as well. So it's like everything was expiring. It's like, everything was turning back into the pumpkin, so to speak. So it's like we had to shoot this scene. We had, 10 minutes to get out there.
We had all the snow blankets, like,
because
we're shooting this in the summer, right? So everything is set, and it's a time. Yeah. And I'm waiting outside with the camera, and there's no Brigitte. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, we need to shoot.
So what happened is it was a beautiful dress, and we had put sort of a red patch to make just the collar a little bit higher.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to my friend, and we're like, well, you know what? It might be better if we there was a mesh that kind of made it look skin colored. And we're like, well, we should probably cut it to make it all red because it'll look better. And I was like, man, I hope that's not all that's keeping the dress together. And sure enough, we go to cut it, we're about to run on set, and the whole thing just falls apart. And I was like, I don't know how to solve this in like 5 minutes because now we have to be on set in 5 minutes.
And usually on these shoots, I mean, Brigitte is the one who solves
Right.
the issues. And so, you know, you get someone coming to me and they're like, Andrew, Brigitte doesn't know what to do with the dress. You need to go to her and figure this out. So I went there and, you know,
we're trying to pin it.
I've never seen my wife more in shock. Like, just like, I don't know what to do here. So we basically, I said, look, she was wearing a shawl that would go with the dress, and we were like, let's wear the shawl, cover it up, and we'll shoot like this, and then we'll figure that dress out for you know, the next days that it plays.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it all worked out great. And
so when you see me with a big shawl on the outside scene, that was the scene, and that's the reason why I have the shawl.
Because I'm like, it's like, oh, I bet that liner was actually a front bodice piece. You cut it, and it.
Oh, yeah, it was, and then it was gone. And I was like, I can't. There's nothing I can do. Like, I don't have another dress. This is the big finale dress. It's 11 o'clock at night. Like, we can't go shopping. We need to shoot in 10 minutes. It was all just a disaster.
And as a guy, I'm just like, why'd you cut the dress?
Well,
so how did you fix it? Did you have to find somebody to sew it up for you, or did you do it yourself?
No. We tried to sew it up, but then what happened is the next morning Andrew woke up and he's like, just go buy another dress. But it was a really expensive dress, and we were already over budget, and I didn't want to do that. But he's like,
said,
just go.
Just go buy the dress. It's important. It's a beautiful dress, and you know.
Yeah.
So
we found it somewhere. We made a bunch of phone calls. We found it somewhere. Sent a driver to pick it up, and that was
dress.
It was
a mess.
But it looks stunning in the photos that we can see. Let's just be honest. It was worth getting the dress, right?
Absolutely.
And now the dress will be in every movie.
I don't think so.
Look, there's the red dress.
You could have just thrown the sweater on top of it.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
Let's go with the sweater on. Then we would have known. We would have known.
I mean, gosh, we've all had, you know, wardrobe malfunctions, but to be under such a pressure and then it happens, I mean, that's something that would happen to me only ever. But you handle it like a champ, and now we'll all be thinking of that story when we're watching.
And looking for the beautiful shawl. I'm sure you still look beautiful.
Yeah.
Speaking of dresses, you have like spectacular dresses in this film.
Oh, thank you.
There's pictures in the blue ball gown.
Yeah.
And then you have there's another one too that I saw. I'm like, so fun to see all the dresses. Normally you get like just like that one final scene dress or something that's like that. And is it because it's around the art shows that you get more dresses like that?
I think part of it is because I wrote the script, and I like those moments where actors get to get dressed up. And so I sort of put there's a princess scene where she, like, the kids end up throwing her a big birthday party and everybody's dressed up, so they give her a princess dress. And there's all these moments that I put in there just because as a viewer I wanted to see it. And then when I ended up having the opportunity to be in it, then I was like, oh my God, this is so much fun. So I ended up going shopping ahead of time, and I picked out those dresses prior to shooting because I was like, oh, well, you know, might as well have some fun. I've been wearing, you know, jogging pants and sweatshirts for the past 3 years.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was going to ask you if you picked out the wardrobe too, because I know you've done that as well. So did you do the whole movie or just for your character?
I just did for my character on this one. I did oversee a lot of the wardrobe, but I had a great team that kind of popped in and did some wonderful things with the wardrobe. So,
Brigitte's been like in control of pretty much our wardrobe since Country Crush.
Yeah.
Where I don't know if you'll notice, but all of my movies tend to have a color palette, and she's in control of that. Like, we'll talk about the color palette. Usually, I like primary colors all the time, like just the classic.
Yeah.
In From Friend to Fiance, Brigitte wanted the color palette to have more purples and pinks, and like mauves, right? I'm not a big fan of that color, but like I'll always defer to her when it comes to fashion sense and that kind of thing. So yeah, like she'll decide on what the color palette is and what everything's going to look like, and then everyone kind of takes their marching orders from her. So
Okay, yeah, no, I love that. Please tell me, in Autumn Stables, you picked out the pajamas for Cindy Busby to wear.
Yeah, we love that.
Killer. That's first of all, that scene is great because it's like the tension scene, but she's in those PJs.
What's also funny is like I've been revisiting a lot of our previous work. Like I had mentioned to you in a message that I was remastering A Very Corby Christmas to release next Christmas on Blu-ray on home video. And then I'll also be remastering Autumn Stables in 4K and all this stuff. So as we're watching it, Brigitte comes down and is like, "That's where we got that house coat from."
Yeah, I love the house coat as well. And I was like, "Where did you get this house coat?" I'm like, "Something."
Oh yeah, but you guys have done a lot of projects. In this project, so Andrew, we appreciate your director's viewpoint when you're shooting. We can see it. The more I've seen your movies, the more I see your viewpoint. So in this movie, how does your point of view come across when we're watching?
My point of view, or Brigitte?
Yeah, yours, and like that director's point of view, like visual things we should be looking for, how things are set up.
I guess with this one, the honesty of the situation, I was very and what I mean by that is you'll see a couple like of these styled movies where the plot line, the actors are playing maybe younger than the plot line would suggest, right? Like so having a more mature look at this, of a teacher who has had a career teaching and has, gone back to follow her dreams, but then, maybe is at the point where realizing that helping younger people achieve their dreams is maybe just as important to her, to her at this stage. Just having that honest, like people have lived their life already, right? And they have these,
there's a maturity to
there's a maturity to the story that, sometimes, like, a lot of people tune in and there's, they're fun movies and like you go in for a ride and all this stuff. And this one, the subject matter is just a little more mature. There's still a lot of fun in it. Like you guys are talking to Kelly and Darren tomorrow, and they're great in the movie, and they bring a lot of.
Or possibly the next day.
or possibly the next day.
It's a little up in there right now.
But they're great in it, and they just bring such a a humor and joy to the movie. And I think with you'll still get the beautiful cinematic shots. You'll get the the lead girl walking in the red dress and just the lights are beautiful around her and you get that moment. And I think that's for me, that was key, right? And on this project I was also a cinematographer, so I was lighting the project as well. For after the first week, I had my cinematographer that I usually work with, Joshua Freeman. He came out to help me on the school week because it was just a lot of kids, a lot of moving pieces. It was the first week, and then he went back to do Chucky. A little change of pace.
Little different.
Yeah, you go from a beautiful romance, and then you go to a horror show, and then I took over for the last 2 weeks of shooting. So you'll get the nice soft lighting and the blooms and stuff like that. So yeah,
we love that. We love that.
So where did you film this? You mentioned it was in the summertime, and where were you?
We shot a little bit everywhere. We started out in Hamilton. So the school and everything was in Hamilton. Then we came to Oshawa. There's this beautiful gallery called the Robert McLaughlin Art Gallery, and we shot there. We shot in Port Perry.
Where we're from.
Yeah, because it's always fun to shoot close to home. And a little bit in Toronto. So
Yeah.
we bounced around.
One of the other staples besides like the magic sweater, there's a location that we use quite a bit in our movies because it's just a beautiful location. It's the Old Flame brewery company. So you've seen it. It's like we've used it as a coffee shop. It's got this beautiful brick and it's got the incandescent hanging lights in the seats. So it's in Home for Harvest and that kind of thing. And it's in this project. It's in A Corgi Christmas. I try to light it differently every time.
Yeah.
So that it's not just apparent, oh, it's the same place, right?
Now I need to go look.
Okay. Now I'm like, totally need to go look. Because my next question is like, is there any little Easter eggs that we can look for? So clearly the brewery, that is a different place in every movie. We'll look for that. That's super fun.
In A Very Corgi Christmas, when Kevin and Kelly are sitting at the little coffee shop and see the little puppy sleeping at the bottom.
Yeah.
That's the location.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super fun. Super fun. Yeah, in your use of corgis, you also use corgis.
There's corgi in this.
I don't know.
There is, yeah.
There is
There is a corgi in this
Give
movie.
Kelly a corgi because they're like, oh my god, wouldn't it be so fun to give Kelly a corgi from the same corgi family? So
Yeah. So the way we were shooting Autumn Stables, and Harmony Horsemanship was the company that provided the horses, and Harmony Horsemanship is run by Lindsay Partridge, and she believes in bitless horse training.
Okay.
And they have this great facility, and we were there visiting the horses, and her husband James, he has this corgi puppy business, and when we were doing Autumn Stables, there were all these corgi puppies, and Brigitte's hugging them and loving them, and I turned to her and I was like, "A Very Corgi Christmas?"
like,
she goes, "Sure." So that's kind of where it started from, was just that title, and then we kind of wrote the script around that.
I think it was 2 years later we shot it.
2 years later, we
came up with the title. And
funny, a friend of mine who just sort of found out I do this silly little podcast, she texted me the other day, and she's like, "Hey, what's your favorite Hallmark Christmas movie?" Because she has a big family, a lot of kids. They have 4 kids, and she's like, "It's something we can watch with everybody." So she's like, "We just watched the corgi one." I'm like, "Is it this one?" Like, I'm not the director.
That's cute.
Look for the sweater. In the same corgi family.
It's a long story, but like, black guys, kind of why we have a podcast.
No, super fun. There's a question over here. Susan says, "I assume we are not included in the sweater giveaway, Canada, but you two are based out of Canada, so you don't."
You know what? They can tweet a lot. Anybody can join in. You don't have to be watching the movie at the same time. You just have to tweet within that period of time. And
I mean, we'd like you to be watching the movie.
We would love that.
But
in Canada, obviously, it's not.
Yeah, it's not airing. So, but
Right.
if you follow us along on Twitter and tweet, you'll be entered into the
For sure.
draw.
That's why I'm like, I bet you could be included because you guys are based out of Canada. So shipping would probably be cheaper in Canada.
Have any news? Like,
You know what? As long as I get rid of this sweater, I'm willing to ship it.
I desperately want Sarah to win it because she's tiny and I'd love to see her in the sweater. Yeah, I can't wait till we can post like social media pictures. I kind of want it to go to somebody that I'll see. We can pass the sweater around.
Yeah, sure.
There could be more pictures of the sweater. It'll have a life of its own. So we'll also promote the giveaway during the movie, The Art of Christmas, that's airing on Friday, December 9th. So we'll make sure that the information about tweeting and is getting out there and people are watching live. That's super fun. Okay, I have production company questions.
I really want to talk about this. Yeah.
How did you don't go, "I'm going to run a production company," and then you run a production company? How did you guys get so you were running a company and making films? That has got to be a long story, but
it's a long one.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing it for a while, so it's not like it's a night and day thing, But yeah, I mean,
it started in 1999.
Okay, yeah.
We both went to school at York University. I was in the actor program. He was in the film program, and we ended up doing a project together. And then when I graduated, I realized I always wanted to be an actor, and I thought that it would be much easier than it is to get acting jobs. And I was like, you know what? There's got to be a way to produce these movies so that I can star in my own movies. And I loved Andrew's writing and his directing. I had been lucky enough to be in one of his movies, so I approached him. I was like, hey, if you write a movie, I'll produce it and we'll just make it happen. Like we'll just do this. And so we randomly picked.
I was like, okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like a good deal to me.
I was like, we're going to make it for $1.5 million. Arbitrarily. No idea how much these things cost. I was like, we're both going to star in it. You're going to direct it. I'm going to produce it. It's going to be amazing. We're going to do this. And it took about 10 years to get that first project off the ground. And we got in so much debt. But we basically, like, I'd hop onto a plane, go to LA. I'd knock on every single door I could. And Andrew's stuff was just so creative and so well done. Like he did this whole pitch package, and
it was almost 100-page pitch package that I did.
Yeah,
with artwork.
And
like,
wow.
If anyone's listening to this, you don't need that.
No,
you need one page.
Well, it's not true. We needed that at the time.
Right. Times are very different now. Right.
Yeah. Like once you have the, the background, then you can pitch with a page. But back then we had nothing. And so we ended up, make a long story short, we ended up knocking on a company door that was sort of interested. And we convinced them to do Dark Rising. Okay. So we ended up doing Dark Rising first as like our first feature film, and it was for $60,000, not $1.5 million. And we sort of learned the ropes doing that. In the meantime, we kept raising money for Medium Raw, and 10 years later, we ended up releasing it for that $1.5 million. We both starred in it. We did exactly what we set out to do. It just took much longer than we expected.
Yeah, and then so I mean, basically, you kind of answered your question where you're like, well, did you just one day say, are we going to be a production company? And the truth is yes.
Yeah.
And then you take steps to achieve what you want as a company. So it's like, even, once the Dark Rising series had run its course, we were looking at, well, what's next? Like, what do we want to do? And, I think I had mentioned it earlier where I'm a huge fan of just filmmaking in general and love musicals. And we had come up with the concept of Country Crush. So after leaving the previous company, we wanted to jump into something completely different than what we were used to. And then so we worked towards, getting Country Crush done. And we had never done a musical before, but it's like, well, what do you do? So you find the music and you go to, you go to Nashville, you record the music. It's you go through the process of what it is, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of love that you guys just are like, oh, let's do something different and change your lanes. You don't just stay in one particular lane. Creatively, that's got to be more satisfying.
It's just fun to learn. I think we're both really focused on learning in life. And I think whenever we get sort of bogged down where it's like, okay, we get this, we know how to do this. Like we try to challenge ourselves and open it up to something new. And it's always exciting. Like, when we first jumped into Christmas movies and rom-coms, it was all new to us. And we learned, I remember, Cindy Busby being on set, and Andrew's like, she's just so great to watch because she just taught us so much about this genre.
Because we didn't know anything about the genre, and it is a genre. It's a the style. We had done dramas and horror movies before, and I was a fan of filmmaking in general, but like I wasn't necessarily watching these movies. They weren't in my wheelhouse. I know where to put the camera, I know how to move the camera, but the acting is a specific style, and watching Cindy and just learning from her, and even Brigitte going, okay, we get this world now, what this is, right?
Because originally when we did Country Crush, we're like, this is the perfect Hallmark movie. And then now knowing the Hallmark movies, we're like, this is not a Hallmark movie.
It's really good. It's sad. Yeah. It's
there's an RPG.
We might have killed Kevin.
Yeah.
You did. Yeah. So many people are well aware we also run a Kevin fan group, and there are people in our Facebook group, which tends to be a little bit older and stuff too, and there are people in there like, I can't watch Country Crush again. I think Kevin's dead.
And the funny thing is for me, I was like, the fact that you feel in that movie, and I mean that was mission accomplished, right?
Right.
No,
it's done really well. Like, you really are sad that there is, but it's not very movie of the week.
And the thing is like during Country Crush, like I was going through a period of my life in terms of the project that I do, where I was dealing with this the concept of grief and the cycle of grief, and like how life is just, really tragedy after tragedy after tragedy, with happy moments sprinkled in between. Right. And I was kind of trying to, with that movie and Night Cries, I was dealing with it as a filmmaker, and so Country Crush was kind of part of that. But I can also appreciate and understand why the McGarrys find it hard to watch.
It's except for you put Kevin singing, so you're forever the hero. So
yeah.
Without Country Crush, he wouldn't have been in Autumn Stables.
That's
because
true.
we met Kevin on Country Crush.
It's all connected,
right? Yeah.
So
see, that's how it goes. And then there's because of Autumn Stables, there's corgis, and now there's a very corgi Christmas, and then because of a very corgi Christmas, there's a sweater. This is like if you give a mouse a muffin. And then there's a sweater, and then the sweater shows up in
audible sigh.
Great. Bernadette in the questions, she says, how do you balance home life with work life and still get along so well?
Andrew's rolling his
eyes. At times it's been challenging.
Of course.
But the thing is that we are two very driven people. And it's a very hard industry to do, I would think, alone. Mm. So at some time, there's a lot of stories about relationships that, it's just hard. The hours are long.
Yep.
You're away from, your families quite a bit. Young people who are getting into the industry, I always tell them that you have to make sure that there's a balance, that you have a balance, because it's very easy to be swept up in filmmaking in general. It's long days, long shoots. You're away, and being able to work with my wife is just, it's a blessing, right? Because you see that, and also we're on the same team. Do you know what I mean? Like we're trying to achieve that goal. So,
I think we're both very hard workers, and we both have a lot of passion for making movies. And the upside is we do very different things within the film industry. So Andrew's always been the creative side of our company. So I'll always defer to him creatively. He has a vision, and he's just so talented. And then my strength has always been the business side. So I'm good with numbers, and I'm good with puzzles and the financing and the distribution. And so I think we don't really butt heads because there's no place to butt heads on.
I'll ask her, is I'd like to use this crane for this shot, and she'll just say no. Oh.
But I will try everything to get him that crane before I say no. Like, there's not a movie that Andrew, the way we've really functioned, it's like Andrew will be like, I want to make this movie. And there hasn't been a time in our life yet that I've said no. It's like, if he's got a project that he wants to do, I was like, I'll figure out how to finance it. We'll figure out how to make it. And I think that's been really fun because his stories and his creativity is always something that I've loved so much. And it's always fun for me to be able to, I would love to give him more. I'd love to give him better budgets and bigger budgets. And hopefully one day I will. But
the thing is that I feel very supportive, and I try my best to support her in what we're doing. And it's just like, we're shooting Autumn Stables, and we're at the beautiful Iron Horse Ranch, right? And everyone is, and Autumn Stables was a very small team. Mm-hmm. And we talk about why this sweater is in every movie, and the truth is that our budgets are not very high. So it's like we accumulate a wardrobe division where we have these great pieces that we reuse, and but you know, everyone's gone for the night and the gazebo needs to be painted. And it's just me and Bridge, and it's a beautiful sunset, and we're just painting the gazebo brown for the next morning. And
we've shot for 12
and we've
hours.
shot for already 12 hours, and you know, and we're exhausted, but there's something perfect about that moment. And I think that's working together has allowed us that
Right.
those moments. And we're just like Brigitte keeps saying, it's like we're hard workers, but I think there's a lot of hard workers. We're also happy to work,
Mhm.
you know, we're happy in the job, you know, and I think that has served us well.
I love that. I love that you have it's the same vision and you're doing all the pieces to make that vision come together. I also love that you told us previously that you picked up that gazebo and brought it there with the moss on. Cindy Busby came on and she's like, I didn't know that story. And I'm like, that gazebo forever is your guys' gazebo. Like when I see it, oh, there's their gazebo.
That was hard. They cut it up, put it on.
We had to come up with a way of
That was hard.
of taking it apart and piecing
Rebuilding
it and rebuilding it, right? So, but also having a storm kind of wreck it in a way, but like not really wreck it. So you're kind of trying to balance it out. That was,
And then repaint it all.
and then repaint it all. Yeah, that was you know, I mean, that's filmmaking though, just trying to, you know, figure out problems and stuff. So
Lots of puzzle pieces.
I love that you're lifetime learners. So I work in a completely different industry, but that I still teach every day as part of my job. And when I teach, one of the things is lifetime learning. I have to learn something new every day. Things are always changing. And that's what drives me. And it makes me want to go to work and do the things that I love. So I could see how the changes, the lifetime learning would drive you to do a new project.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well, like our next project is a disaster movie.
Yes.
Right? So again, like we've never done a disaster movie,
Yeah.
and that's exciting to us to say, okay, well, currently we're in the process of writing it together. It's the first script that we'll have written together. That's fun.
Yeah.
The disaster movie, those are so much fun. That's were you supposed to drop that?
I don't know how to do that, guys.
That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah.
I love a good disaster.
We allocate scenes.
Okay. I was going to ask you your system for that. Yeah.
So she's kind of writing
for some of the characters,
and
their plot line, like the secondary plot line, and like Andrew's brain works a lot different than mine in terms of.
Not sure how to take that.
I mean, it's fascinating. He sees like a big picture. Like I've written the romance movies, but when he writes projects, they're much more complex and there's so much to them and themes. And so I was overwhelmed at first when he's like, let's write it together. I was like, I don't know. But it's been fun taking just like a subplot and kind of following those characters and letting him sort of piece the big picture together.
I think that's also like a key, like for us, is like I've been trying to get her to shadow my directing so that one day she can direct one of the projects as well. Yeah. Because the thing is it's exciting. Like when she started writing, I was like, you should write, because you know we're getting a lot of scripts. I'm like, I know what you're capable of doing. Mm-hmm. So you know, start with writing what you know. And I still remember reading Christmas by Chance, and that was the first Christmas movie she had written, and you can still catch that movie on Lifetime. Mm-hmm. And I read it, I was like, this is great, this is amazing. So I've been trying to get her to eventually take the step where she'll direct, and I'll hold the camera.
You can go on vacation. You can just do everything.
Yeah. I'll zoom in from home and be playing his video games.
I'll just be like, because now you can just move the camera a little to your left.
I'll be sitting in a chair wearing the sweater. No. No, but like, so clearly you're a global thinker, as we say in developmental things, and I love a good global thinker. But I for sure am much for like Brigitte. To see the numbers and see where things need to go and those pieces. I love that you balance each other like that.
Yeah, we've been very lucky like we always say, we wouldn't have the career that we have, either one of us, without the other person. Like we've really completed each other through the years, because even like my acting and the writing, all of that stuff has been completely supported by Andrew's craft. And then on the flip side, you know, being able to finance his visions and stuff like that has supported him. So it's been, you know, we really lifted each other up through the years, which is,
yeah, I think that that's like I always say that when it's like, well, how do you do it? I'm like, honestly, I don't know how to do it without a Brigitte.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't. Like, I would, you know, like, because everyone's like, well, I've written this screenplay, you know, and how do I get it made? And I was like, you just tell your wife that you've got a screenplay, and then she just kind of, I don't know, takes some calls. I'm not really sure what she does, but then I find myself on set shooting my screenplay. Try that. Have you tried that?
But on the flip side, like having Andrew's like the level of quality that he brings to projects, being able to take that and to bring it to distributors or buyers, it, you know, obviously I'm just selling him.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
It's an easy sell. I mean, when you look at things with similar budgets,
Yeah.
I mean, we can see it. We can see the visual and the artistic difference within the same. When you're comparing apples to apples, it shows through. It comes through, and we as viewers benefit from that vision and are along for the ride. And maybe we'll be along for a terror movie too, like, or whatever, a disaster, or whatever's happening next.
I'm hoping to make you cry in this one too, so we'll see.
Yes.
Next, we want to make the bigger budget romance movies. We got to get those. We got to get that $2.5 million budget someday. That would be fun.
That would be really fun.
Yeah.
So fun.
You get different things, right? But heck, she got so is it you that got the helicopter for Country Crush? Because there's a helicopter in that one.
There is. There's a lot in Country Crush.
Is there a helicopter?
Well, Kevin's in the helicopter.
Oh.
Like in the,
Oh my gosh, yeah. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. I mean,
I gotta watch that movie again, guys.
Yeah, on his Instagram, he's got very little on his Instagram. It's one of the actual.
Yeah, so that was where we were shooting in Sturgeon Falls. It was Jenna and Kevin's house that they live in, and a beautiful farmhouse, like, you know, picturesque, like everything that I wanted the farmhouse to be. And actually, the neighbors, like right across the street, had a hangar with the helicopter. I know, it's just random. And yeah. But that was and we use, like, that was another shot that we used in my grown up Christmas list.
Yes.
On her,
Yep.
it's that Country Crush shot.
The picture.
And,
Right. No, there's those are fun Easter eggs in my grown up Christmas list from Country Crush, because also, like, my favorite is the two of you in the picture together in the photo there.
Yeah, well, I needed a quick way of showing that Kevin was in the military.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like, everyone's like, do we have a military picture? Again, that movie was, you know, put together very quickly.
Yeah.
So there's not, you know, sometimes you have time to, you know, do some pre photos for the props. Right. I was like, yeah, well, you know, yes.
I got one.
I've got one. So.
Just happen to have one.
Yeah, just happen to have one.
Also perfectly, because of the time range when the two movies were shot, you even have like the different style uniforms that are currently being used, which was like actually on point. So that was kind of fun, and just that it was taken that many years ago, it, you know, it shows that you're not those ages anymore, and so it's like, it was like perfect. It's a fun.
Yeah, it's funny that has worked out that way, where I'm in a lot of photos in these movies, because in Autumn Stables, I'm actually Cindy's dead husband.
Oh my God! Wait, no, I gotta go back. I gotta go find that.
There's two photos. There's the wedding photo that Kevin looks at, and then there's also the photo that she pulls out of the desk.
Oh yeah.
That's
you're the dead husband.
Yeah, we all when we were shooting Autumn Stables, we would laugh because, you know, there's that big romantic kiss at the end between, you know, Kevin and Cindy, and we pan off to the beautiful sky. And I told him when I was shooting that I was just going to superimpose my face looking down at them from heaven.
Let me get my Canva out and see if I can get that.
Yeah.
And speaking of superimpose, should we bring up the Best Buy bag?
I mean, I'm curious. Like, they don't really tell me. Like, obviously, they don't tell me anything, right? I just thought that, like, I made the comment where I was like, there was an issue with his uniform being crooked. I was like, if you're gonna spend money to CG a Best Buy bag, and like, why not? I don't know. Fix the metals. Like, it's not right. But I did find that, I found it a positive in the way that they know that people are watching the movie.
Right.
So that's a positive,
Right.
I'm like, oh, okay, well, obviously they know that people are going to watch the movie. We're going to put this advertisement in the middle of the movie.
On the table.
Goes so well with the Christmas.
Exactly. It's also ironic that you try so hard to not put any logos in the movies.
Right.
And then it's like, well, that's clearly an ad, right?
It kind of reminded me of when I was a kid, and there would always be like that product placement thing and shows, but they'd actually have the product there. There was no CGI, right?
Yeah.
And so it felt very much like that. It used to be, like Roseanne Barr. There would always be like the cereal boxes on the table or things like
it's comped in, right? If you notice, it's behind something else. So they actually, they rotoscoped the box in front of it. Like, there was work done to put that into the shot. So
it's just very interesting to us because we had like this running joke. Kayla had come on from their previous film, and her Easter egg that she gave us was, look for Kevin in the. He just was like, I look like I work at Best Buy in this royal blue shirt. And so, there happens to be a geeks in the hospital where I work. It's a children's hospital. And so there's a geek squad right there. I just took a photoshopped him into the geek squad and put a little thing on there. So it was a running joke, and it got shared around on social media, and it was on the podcast. So that was like a running theme, Best Buy, Kevin. So to see the Best Buy bag, they were like, was that random?
It doesn't seem random.
No, it doesn't feel random. It's not a cereal box. It's not a Tiffany's bag. Like, it's a Best Buy bag. So.
Right in the sexy Santa scene, right?
Right, it's the sexy Santa as he comes back from that. So it just seems it was very interesting, and we hadn't really seen product placement in these types of movies before. Have you seen it much?
No, actually, not at all.
Right.
So when you sent me the photo, I was like, oh, that's pretty good.
I'm like, what in the Best Buy, Kevin, is happening here? No, we hadn't. And then I'm like, was I missing it?
No, that was definitely 100% added. And I do have to say, like, I appreciate all of the support that I've received over that movie. It's the reaction's been very, it's been very good, very nice, and it's much appreciated. So.
Yeah, and people have loved that movie.
Yeah, and even just recently, when it just re-aired the other day on all the Hallmark movies boards, because now people will tag me in that stuff,
right?
And everybody was like, "Oh, I've never seen this one before. I really liked it." So positive is what I'm seeing too.
That's great.
You always have those negative Nellies, but
yeah.
The thing is like I mentioned it before where. About let's say the parties or whatnot, right? And it's like I always look at the negative reactions or just the infighting on social media, and it's like, if someone doesn't like it, you don't need to engage necessarily with that person, right? Just be. I always say it's like, because movies and art are so personal, at least to me. Like, I have and I'm finding this a lot with dealing with a younger team on these movies, is the movies that I'm, attached to that have impacted me personally are not the same movies that have impacted these, this younger generation or just other people. Like, art is personal. And if you like something and it has resonated with you and it has not resonated with someone else, that's okay.
Right.
It's always like, I be happy that it resonated with you.
Right.
And that should be enough. And, because I'll have conversations of, we work in, we talk about legacy was always an important thing when I was first starting out. You know, legacy as a filmmaker, right? But I mean, more than half of the movies that I found impacted me the most in my life, the new generation hasn't even watched them. So,
It's
right.
you know, it's just like we are in this moment in time where we're experiencing, you know, art and life and everything all at this one moment. Just enjoy it as much as you can, because you know, it's all fleeting.
You know, that's true. I threw out a Princess Bride, you know, thing on rounds the other day, and all the residents looked at me like I'm like, you don't, okay, sure you, the iocane powder, come on. It's a medicine reference. Let's go. And they'll just look like me, like I was crazy. I'm like, come on, my son's like the same age as them, and he got bonus points on an AP exam for knowing iocane powder was. But you know, you're right. They're just like fleeting. They have different things that impact them. Also, people like different things, and sometimes it's confusing to me. But you know,
yeah.
Often
I'm like, say what? Okay, sure. But no, like people like different things and enjoy different pieces, and you know, and it's interesting. Some people only like watch one thing, and we're certainly, Sarah and I certainly are not that. We watch just a huge range of things, and so we maybe have a different point of view than some other people have too. So.
I think that with you know, with our projects, we always try, like I said, to bring an honesty to the story, and I always try to make it through the themes. It will definitely speak to some people. It's targeted, right? So there's certain things where if you've gone through a certain experience or you've gone through the feeling, you'll feel it more than someone who hasn't gone through that experience, and they cannot experience the movie the same way. So I think that's very important to me. So the fact that you know, Autumn Stables, my grown-up Christmas list, you know, Christmas by Chance, Unperfect Christmas, I've got people who all of those projects speak to them on different levels, different ways, because they're different stories. And I think that's the key. So.
I love that. I'm super excited for the Art of Christmas, just like because it brings in art pieces. I always like when there's like a little piece of like learning that happens in a movie. So I'm hoping we get to hear a little bit about art. Is that going to happen?
A little bit. I mean, it's really her journey. She definitely expresses herself through art. So there's definitely art pieces throughout this project. We worked with a local artist, Pete Smith, who allowed us to use some of his pieces, and then he's the one that helped us create the other pieces needed for the project. And it's really about her journey, finding a balance in being able to express herself through art, but also it being okay that she loves to teach and growing, like helping the next generation find their dreams and explore their dreams. And I think that's basically,
It's less, I would say it's less about like how to,
yes,
and more about the emotional journey of how to exist.
You go after your dreams and to like sort of express yourself and bring parts of yourself to other people, whether it be through art or through music or whatever passion you have. Through teaching,
you know, that kind of,
right,
which is very relatable for everybody, right? Everybody's always trying to figure that out, and some people like you and Julie, like you figured that out, and there's loads of people that are still trying to, you know, find their path. So I think it's going to hit a lot of people.
Life's a journey. Life's about the journey,
not the destination.
It's all about the journey, and sometimes your journey takes you in a different direction. You just like never know, right? Right. I kind of love that you guys drive your own projects. Do you ever get people like come to you and say they want you to do this project?
Yes. So we do have another premiere this year on App TV called Sappy Holidays.
Okay.
Sappy Holiday.
And that was sort of a project where the company that we've worked with on this project and many others came to us and they said, we have this script that we really love that we'd love to have done. Do you guys mind taking it on? And we did do a rewrite on it. So it does still go through our, our company and our machine, but it was definitely a project that they came to us with and said, can you, make this happen for us? And we did.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, I love that.
That's awesome. Do you know when that's coming out?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's the same day in Canada.
Okay.
So we know the Canada premiere day is the same day right now as the Art of Christmas.
Exactly the same
So
time.
that's going to be a very interesting.
So if you're in Canada, watch Sappy Holiday.
Holiday. Yeah.
You're in America.
Yeah.
The art.
And you guys will be tweeting them both then, right?
We're going to try our best.
Yeah. This should be a split personality.
And then I think in the US, it's premiering on Up TV on December 17th. I want to say December 17th or December 18th.
Okay.
But it's on Up TV. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. That's super exciting. Do you guys have a dream project?
I think every time we have a dream project, we just take the time it takes to make it happen.
Yeah, I've had that question before, and we always just say, it was like, well, we've done it. As the dream happens, we just kind of do it, right? So because Country Crush was definitely a dream project. Yeah. And then that was a very difficult one to do, but we did it. And then like right now, this disaster movie, I'm really taking it as like, this is what I want to do next, because Brigitte is also starring in that one. So I'm excited about that. And I have a cast in mind that I'm hoping that, we can get for it. So we just look at that, like, what's the next project? And, in terms of a dream project, I would love to, do a Star Wars movie.
Just gonna say something Star Wars related.
I would love to do a Batman movie. Those are two things that, like, as a kid, they got me into filmmaking. But at the same time, I know that when you are the one behind it, you can't actually enjoy it. So I kind of just wish there to be better Star Wars movies now, and
right?
Yeah. So
right. No. Speaking of Star Wars, was the Star Wars references in my grown-up Christmas list written, or were those added in?
No, they were written. They were written. So the line, the Luke bit about less outer space and more. That was always in the script, and like again, we're talking about, like, because it's been released now, talking about a couple of the changes that didn't make it the way by changing the ending. The Christmas Carol bit where they're both Christmas Carol fans, it was supposed to come back at the end, right? That they're watching a Christmas Carol at the military base, so kind of like full circle. They're all there.
That would have made sense.
Yeah, it would have made sense. So just there was, but that outer space thing, because Luke is probably the most popular Luke when it comes to Luke Skywalker. So and that's that generation that grew up with that. So
because when that was in there, and I'm like, oh, this feels very Andrew and Kevin though.
I think that in general, like our age group, we grew up with Star Wars being in the lexicon of just our language. Right. We would always laugh. My director of photography, that I worked with, Joshua, we'd always laugh because all of our comments are either Star Wars based, Indiana Jones based, or Ghostbusters based. Back to the Future, right? Like these, whatever we would say. And it was kind of funny the last couple of projects where we're working with a younger team now, and they wouldn't get any of our references. We'd be like, oh my goodness, like, when did we become
those people?
Yeah, like,
it's literally me on walking rounds. I'm like, oh my gosh, the musical references too. We're doing a safety checklist. I'm like, safety dance, and they're like, oh, looking at me, and I'm like,
it's completely lost.
It's completely lost.
Yeah, and it's kind of, it's kind of, and that again comes back to my point where it's like the stuff that touches, your heart is not necessarily the same things, right? So, but yeah, like I think it's hard to avoid that in like this generation of filmmaking.
Right.
It's had such an impact on this generation. So.
Do you think that's going to change the way you all, and you know, I guess maybe it's a broad question, people in general are going to have to make movies, because this next generation coming up is complete, like we said, on a different level, like a completely different than how we all grew up. So do you think that's changing the way these films are going to be made, or do you think like this genre, the rom-com TV movie, you know, we can still keep them the way they are?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. Like I've actually talked to Bridge about it quite a bit in terms of not knowing what is next. The rom-com world with like Hallmark, Great American Family, like that kind of world seems to be protected right now. Like in terms, it has its viewers that, you know, just enjoy that content and that product. And, you know, in terms of, you know, the actual filmmaking, we're making movies that are mass consumed, meant to be watched while you're tweeting or cooking or doing a number of other things, right? Yeah. So that the emotional connection sometimes is lost.
Yeah.
But like I just went to go see Steven Spielberg's movie The Fabelmans in theater, opening night. Brilliant movie, loved it. Brigitte and I are the only two people in the theater.
Right.
So is it changing? Well, people aren't going to see those movies in the theater anymore. And I'm curious, like, you know, what's popular now, right? You get the really short form TikTok videos, and YouTube is now introducing YouTube shorts, like even shorter videos. So, I mean, I don't know. It's always interesting. Like that's the thing with this industry. It's always fun. And with the rise of streaming and being allowed to binge watch, you know, 8 hours of a TV series, that's also changed, you know, the industry quite a bit, right? So,
but I think like at the end of the day, like we've talked as filmmakers, it's as long as we create content that speaks to us and that we feel we're doing justice to that genre or to that movie, then that's what we're going to do. I think trying to guess what a younger generation wants to look at is just, we're just not part of that generation. We can't really speak to them in the same way that a filmmaker that age would be able to. So I don't think our intent will ever be to compete with that. It's just trying to create content for our own fans.
It's like that, you know, uncle that is trying to be cool.
It's like, we're just not cool anymore, guys. It's okay.
It's okay. I'm trying to be cool.
It's like, we're cool with us, but you know, it's.
You specifically told me that I've never been cool.
That's true. It's like, I don't know if you remember that Simpsons episode where Marge is talking to the kids. She's trying to tell them that she's cool. And
I don't remember.
You don't remember that? But they're saying, she's like, well, I don't need people to tell me I'm cool. And they're like, well, how do you know if you're cool if other people aren't telling you? And she just doesn't understand that. I feel like that's kind of where we're at right now.
Right.
We'll just do what makes us happy.
Right.
And if people like it, great. So.
Also, I feel like you guys are pretty nimble because you drive your own stuff, that you can adjust or choose to go in a direction if you see something that interests you, and grab it. And that actually probably is to very much your advantage.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun being able to do that. I think it keeps us challenged. And it's also, I think with filmmaking, there are definitely periods of time where certain genres are very in, and a lot of filmmakers are doing the same thing. And then the genre sort of changes, and there's still some filmmakers that get to continue that genre, but a lot of them have to find other ways of providing content. And I think with our company, we've always been, you know, in the sense like, let's make sure that we have skills that are a little bit nimble, because we love making movies and we don't ever want to be caught in a wave that ends and then being like, oh, well, now we don't have a home, you know? So.
Right. No, I can see that. I enjoy that piece, that there's a little diversity to your projects and nimble. You're able to move along and what you're on. I'm like, oh yeah, let's go have some sort of disaster. This sounds I'm just thinking, I can remember being very young, way too young to be watching the was it the Poseidon Adventure, and they're swimming in underneath in the. And I'm like this to the TV, and Yeah, let's go. I can't wait for something to come out that makes me feel like that, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Are they going to get to the other side? Are they going to be safe?
Put obstacles in front of them and you gotta go
Yep.
through the obstacle.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that sounds amazing. What do you got, Sarah?
I was going to say, do you have time for like a quick little game?
Yeah.
I know we're hitting the hour mark, but what is your favorite thing to watch together?
Ooh.
Yeah, we actually don't watch very much. Favorite shows right now, Cobra Kai. We love Cobra Kai. We can binge that together.
You watch a lot of Twitch.
I do watch a lot of Twitch because I work while I'm working. It's like a radio. So people who don't know, Twitch is like a video game streaming site. And you watch that Love Is Blind.
Oh my God, you can't say that. I get addicted to Love Is Blind. If Andrew's like,
if I'm downstairs working on editing or color grading, I'll come upstairs. I was like,
it's a good show, guys. They fall in love without ever seeing each other, and it's just so beautiful. And then they see each other, and it doesn't matter what they look like because they're already in love and they have this connection. It's just cute.
Yeah,
love that. Love that.
So good.
We just enjoy watching. Like the hardest thing is always when I was shooting Grown Up Christmas List, it was the same time that West Side Story was coming out.
Oh, right.
I knew, again, it's another example of times changing, but it was only going to probably be in IMAX for 1 week, maybe 2 weeks. Those were the weeks that I was gone, and usually I would see it with Bridge, right? So we went to go see that separately. So it's just like, but I told her, I was like, go see it in IMAX because big Marvel movies coming out next week and they're going to take over. So I think the thing is that we just love movies, and going to watch it together is like the key, right? Because that's the thing. So
I can't remember the time.
She openly cried when Batman died.
I did.
In The Dark Knight Rises.
Yes, because it's like
just like
on. Batman,
are you gonna be okay?
No.
And that's why movies are great, right? And that's experiencing it with her. It's great because you're there and it has you and it has an impact. Okay, next question.
Go ahead, Julie.
Okay.
We know this one.
Huh?
I said I think we know this one.
Yeah, we know this one. This is on there because it's really obvious. Who's your favorite football player?
Tom Brady.
Which cracks me up. Like, what is it about Canadians and Tom Brady? I don't get it.
He's just so many great, some of our best memories is just watching football, I think. And throughout his career, Andrew's always said to me, he's like, enjoy these years because when Brady's gone, it's not the same because he has so many moments where he wins and he brings up the Super Bowl. And I've only ever experienced the Patriots. Now I'm experiencing obviously other things, but it's just, he's such a part of
I think that's why people
life.
have connections to just media in general, right? So much of our life is spent watching this play football.
Yeah.
And some of like you said, some of our best memories. I remember we were going to Florida and she booked the flight at the exact same time as the New England Patriots Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl.
Okay.
We were in the air while the Super Bowl was happening.
I tried to change the tickets. I didn't book them. My mom and my dad booked them for us. We were going to Florida to hang out with them. And they happened to book it during those few hours. And then I tried to change it, but we were so poor at the time and I couldn't afford to change the ticket price. And so we ended up going, and Andrew's like, that's okay. I'm going to download the internet once we're up on the air. I'll pay the $20 to get the internet, but it didn't stream. Literally, I was like, oh my God, he might divorce me over this. This is the worst thing I've ever done.
That whole week, everyone was talking about how great that Super Bowl was.
I was like, I'm never going to.
No, this is bad. This is embarrassing because I live in New England. Is that the snow one? Is that the first?
That was the Seattle where they didn't run the ball and Malcolm Butler. And when I got off the plane, all of the the social media was talking about how it was the greatest Super Bowl at that time of all time. right? So Bridget's just like,
I was like, he's never gonna.
I can't believe it, right?
It's
And
over.
I was like, it's fine. Like
It's fine.
it's fine.
I won't remember it for the rest of my life.
We're wearing our Patriots gear, and every cashier, we're getting groceries, and they're like, that was a great game, and just
like,
really just twisting. So, then there's that, and then there was the 28-3.
Which I redeemed myself because we were watching the 28-3. We were at his parents' house, and then Andrew's like, "We're going home," and we live an hour and a half away from.
It was a really hard year, just in general, like emotionally and like in terms of my career that year. I needed him to win, and he was just getting beaten, and I was like, I couldn't stomach it.
So he wanted to get in the car and leave, and I was like, absolutely no.
I remember that.
Sit on this couch, and we were going to watch the end of this Super Bowl. I was like, it's not over until it's over. And Andrew's like, it's over. I was like, we are not leaving. So I made him stay, which then redeemed me.
And it turned out to be the greatest
Super Bowl of all time.
Super Bowl of all time, the greatest comeback. And so much of our best life experiences are tied into, Tom Brady and that, so it's just, everyone's like, how can you cheer for him? And it's just like, how can I not? Like, and so many people have that attachment. So
yeah.
And as a Toronto Maple Leaf fan,
sorry,
no, go.
Yeah. Sorry. we're Minnesota Vikings fans. My husband literally has a jersey or a T-shirt that says in like Minnesota Viking font that just says "someday." It's a purple T-shirt, gold letters. It says someday. I mean, we're like 8-2. We just beat the Patriots. We're like the worst looking 8-2 team ever. It's just we just don't believe
that game. I am actually, even though the Pats lost, we moved the ball pretty good. I'm actually, cautiously optimistic that we'll be okay. But it's a weird year. This year is a weird year.
Well, if you ever come to Gillette, you have to let me know. I'm 20 minutes from there.
Oh, nice. Great. Yeah.
Yeah. So I grew up during I grew up when all these big games were happening. I was bartending. So I used to wait on a lot of them.
Okay. Wait, you had to look like you were 12 bartending.
I did always look like but I was in my 20s. I bartended all through my 20s. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, that was, so those are all my memories. And I actually, Richard Seymour lived on the street I grew up on.
Oh, nice.
I don't know him.
But
it's very ingrained here is what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not a big football fan, but I have to be a Patriots fan. So
you have to.
Part of me.
I just want to tag along with you too.
They got great colors.
Yeah. Yes.
The jersey is a nice color. That's why my brother is a huge Green Bay Packer fan, and I'm the Patriots fan. Yep. But my mom chooses to wear the Patriots jersey.
Green Bay Packer. So I'm in Minnesota, and of course we already got that cheese head thing right on the border there. That's that green and gold can just stay over there. We got that going on. I just want to go with you to when you're putting up pictures on social media at the football game when you're down in Florida. I'm like, well, I said to Sarah, well, they got nice tickets.
We don't go to many games. So
it's the only way I can convince him to come.
Yeah.
I promise good tickets.
Right.
I think it was after I kept telling Bridge that Brady was going to retire soon.
Yeah.
And she didn't believe me. And then when he retired, she was like, oh, like, I can't believe it. So we kind of said, we have to go see him play live one more time. We went to go see him in Gillette when he was a Patriot once. And that was, again, a very special time for us. And then going to see him again in Tampa, it's just, Bridge says it's like watching a real live unicorn.
I can't believe he exists. We, with actors, we've worked with so many of them that we're like, okay, yeah, they're human. It's fine. Right. But Tom Brady, he's like, but he's not acting. That's really who he is. He's just really talented. Right. And so when you see him in real life, you're just like, oh my gosh, he's just so, I don't know.
He can throw the ball.
Yeah. So great.
So.
He can throw the ball. Yeah. Well, and even just when you see those athletes, pre-pandemic, we used to get them coming through the hospital all the time to see the kids, right? And they just look so different than everybody else. You're like, one, you're giant. They're just giant. They're all so giant, even if they're not a basketball player, right?
I remember in Dark Rising when I first met Jay Riso. He's a wrestler.
Yeah.
And on TV, he's one of the smaller wrestlers. Right. And when I met him, he still towers over, over
and they're huge.
Yeah, huge. Right. Yeah. So,
right. Yeah. Except for the hockey players. A lot of the hockey players are pretty small. Minnesota Wild play kitty corner from where my hospital is. And so they used to come a lot. And those guys aren't super big.
No.
I lied. I live near Randy Moss, not. Did I say Richard Seymour?
You live by Randy Moss?
Yeah, Richard Seymour I have a picture with because I used to wait on him and give him shrimp scampi. Down my street. He still lives in town, I think. Maybe. Yeah.
Randy Moss was a Viking.
Sorry, that just came when you guys were talking football.
That's pretty good too. Randy Moss is pretty good too.
He's pretty good, yeah.
Pretty good. I think he has still the Vikings #1 reception yards, or I don't know. It's somewhere in there with Ahmad Rashad, and So I don't know. Yeah, he's pretty good. Pretty good. All
right, what's your favorite at-home meal? Like to cook together, or who cooks?
You're asking questions like it's weird. Like we don't have a normal.
We don't do any of those things. I'm gonna tell you, literally, it's like we take a rice cake.
Okay, so how much I love this. I don't like to cook, so I'm always like, I don't care whatever Scott wants to bring home.
I'll give you a good tip. So it's corn. It's not out of rice cake. It's like a corn cake. It's like basically a flatter rice cake, and then you put pizza sauce and you put like a little veggie pepperonis and some cheese, and sometimes you put olives and you throw it in the microwave. Yeah. And then you make this big salad beside that, and that's our go-to meal.
Like I'm a vegetarian. I slipped a disc in my back, and then I was trying to get the inflammation down. So a buddy of mine had said try being a vegetarian. It actually worked in helping my back. So that limits what we eat. The other thing that limits what we eat is the actual time that we have,
right,
to cook.
And he's at the mercy of whatever I make him because he doesn't. He'll eat anything. I can make him anything, and he will absolutely.
I'm very grateful to be fed.
Yeah, I do a lot of stir fries, so it's like every vegetable that I have in my house, I throw in, and then I throw some chickpeas or some black beans, and then I put that on rice, and that's what we eat often.
Oh, good. Yeah. You get a complete protein there. You get some rice and beans. You're gonna get it.
The reason too is I was raised in a family that was there was 4 children in the family, and we were always on the go.
Right.
So food was never like the concept of a sit down meal and enjoying food was never a thing in my family. It was always, fill up, get your sustenance, and go to hockey or go to dance or go to piano. Like it was consistently on the go. And when I first started dating Brigitte, and we'd have a sit down dinner with our family. We were the opposite.
Like our family was like every night we would sit around the table and we would all have a nice meal together. My mom would cook and
I'd just be like, wow, we're sitting at this table a long time.
Okay. That's fantastic. Sarah's currently in the run the kids everywhere phase of her life. They don't sit. We had 3 and 3.5 years, and so we did a lot of that. But we also sit for meals, but also I only have like 3 seconds to do that. So we would sit at the table, but we never sat long.
No, we never sit at our table.
So I just thought the food thing, if you look at food as more of a fuel and less, it doesn't really matter. And it never caught on with me. So it's just like, Bridge will say, what do you want to eat today? I'm like,
I don't care.
Okay. See, that is my answer every time. And my husband he's 8th of 9. He wants like a sit down, long planned out dinner. I'm like, I literally don't care. Well, whatever. You guys have the best answers actually to these.
Very complicated. Probably.
No, this
okay. All right, then this will be the last one. What's your favorite restaurant?
Tim Hortons.
Okay. So,
yes.
Okay, so one of our first dates. Again, this is why we have to set the tone here. So my family did not believe in going out for dinner.
Okay.
Okay, they just didn't. It's like you eat at home. It's cheaper, you know, and all that. And I remember we were eating at.
It was called Rosa's.
It was
a
a
beautiful
Rosa's,
restaurant. It had a piano bar. It was so pretty. It was one of our family's favorite restaurants. So I was like, we're gonna go to Rosa's as like one of our first dates. And we go there, and I remember being like, I was like, this is the most awkward dinner.
Didn't know we were gonna make it past this day. Like, and so I ordered the ravioli because
that was on the ravioli part. That was on our honeymoon.
Was it?
Yes, and also a very awkward dinner. So, anyways, we had this Rosa's dinner. It didn't go well, so we never went to another romantic restaurant again. And then until our honeymoon, we ended up we were in Quebec, and we went to a fancy restaurant, and he orders the ravioli.
Yeah.
Okay, now finish the story.
So I get it's expensive. It's like $25 for like 5 ravioli. And like my mom, all I hear is my mom's voice in my head saying, you know, like a can of ravioli is like $2, like 99 cents, right? And you get like 10. And there's not a single fiber in my being that can enjoy this plate of $25 ravioli that tastes exactly the same as the canned ravioli.
It did?
Well, like
it was much better.
I'm sure it was much better, but I don't have like like the best sense of taste where I'm like, oh, this tomato sauce is better than this tomato sauce.
Right.
You know? So I was just kind of like.
So now we go to Tim Hortons and Starbucks. I'm the Tim Hortons girl. He's the Starbucks guy.
Oh, we don't even agree on our coffee shops.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like it when I go to a place that serves coffee and the coffee tastes exactly the same every time.
Okay. I like the surprise.
Whereas I would say sometimes Tim Hortons, you don't know what you're going to get.
Always surprised.
I've never been to a Tim Hortons.
Like, we don't have them anymore. We used to have more. I wonder.
Right. I mean, look, I'm drinking a Tim Hortons right now. So, but still, it's just, different tastes.
And there's no Starbucks in Port Perry, so he's limited to Tim Hortons here.
I'm limited, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I live in the land of Caribou Coffee, so we're all,
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for being here with us. Andrew, this is your 3rd time, so thank you.
No problem. We'll chat about ravioli anytime.
Next time we're having ravioli with the podcast.
There needs to be a can of ravioli in a movie in the future. It just needs to be sitting there.
Just pan over to unimpressed Andrew.
Can of ravioli. We'll drop in a Best Buy bag over the top of it in the future. Thank you for joining us. We love talking to you. Hang on for a minute as we sign out, and we'll talk to you after we get off.
Thank you guys so much.
And remember to watch Art of Christmas.
Oh, yeah, let's do that. Art of Christmas. When is it?
December 9th?
Yeah, that's where it is scheduled right now. 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central on Great American Family.
And make sure to tweet to enter and get this lovely.
Yes, we're going to tweet. We'll promote that too, but hashtag magic sweater giveaway, hashtag the Art of Christmas during the movie. Okay.
Yeah.
And why don't you throw out your social media handles, your Instagram and Twitter, maybe just so everybody can follow.
Sure. My Twitter and my Instagram is my name, just at Andrew Cymek, both of them.
And my Twitter and my Instagram, I have 2 Instagrams, but one is at BEE Kingsley, and the other one is at Brigitte Kingsley. The at Brigitte Kingsley is more of my Christmas movies and romances, and the other one's a little bit more everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
and we'll see you guys on Twitter for sure on December 9th, as long as the movie stays there. Okay. All right.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.